I negotiated both my economical compensation and my level of entry really aggressively. I was really happy. I was really happy at Accenture, at SBC, especially because of the people. The culture was great. So for me to leave, it had to be really worth it, which it was. So the opportunity was just too good to turn down, and so that's why I decided to leave.
Yeah, I remember still when you were talking me about that in your apartment, and you were telling me that the best way to negotiate something for yourself is when you don't have the necessity to change. So as you stated, you were happy, you were doing great at your current point, so you had the advantage or this leverage to go for more. So can you let us know more if you want on how did you negotiated that? Because I think we always talk about negotiation on how to get better a raise or better positions, more responsibilities. But how would you recommend someone to get more out of a situation like this?
So in my experience, there are a few points of negotiation on your career, and one of the most important of those points are when you're changing employers. So when you're within one firm and you're trying to grow and be promoted and whatnot, you have some leverage, but not as much as you have when someone wants to hire you, when they have decided to hire you. So that is one of the first things to consider. If you want to have leverage, one of the points that you'll have most leverage is right at that moment before you go in. After you've accepted and you've gone in and you've got your salary and your whole package and whatnot, then at that point, that is very, very hard to negotiate because you have much less leverage. So having said that, when you are at the part where you need to start putting arguments down, there are a couple of things that helped me. One was to find as much information about the market, both the market and the position in terms of compensation. So, how much is this level of responsibility, is this position worth in the market, both in Mexico City and globally? Because the way I would sell myself is I am capable enough to perform at this level globally. So I can work with teams globally. So then the position should be evaluated and should be valued at a global scale because labor markets are very different from geography to geography. So having a benchmark, both in terms of the amount of information and the market value of that position, both in your place and in some other places, will give you a great point of reference. Then on, I think you need to be able to reach the point that they will say no. So the way that that happened to me was that I gave them a number that I was willing to make the decision with, a large number. And then after they came back with that number, I told them, okay, that's great. I want a larger bonus. And then I told them I want larger amount of vacation, larger. And then there was a point at the bonus point. There was a point where they told me, okay, this is it, no more. That's as much as we can do. So I wasn't afraid to receive a no. I realized, I think it was probably because of the first point that you mentioned, that I was happy enough that if the negotiations turned south, everything was all right. But that that non-fear and that aggressive push was one of the greatest, probably one of the greatest advantages on the negotiation table. And once I got that, no, until here, this is as much as we can give. Okay, I reached that point, and then I decided, yes, I'll take it. But I reached that point more often than not. I think people leave money at the table because they are afraid of reaching that point, of reaching the point that you demand more, and you throw such a large number that you receive a no. You shouldn't be afraid of receiving a no. I mean, if you have enough benchmark information, if you have references, and if you can state how much value you'll be adding to the firm, what your responsibilities are going to be, there's no reason why throwing your number paired with these arguments. There's no reason why a no to that should be a problem. Okay, a no to that. Okay, then I'll go with the original proposal without that large bonus or whatnot. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think why we think that maybe if you throw a very large number, they will say, no, you gotta go. We don't like you. See you.
Yeah, that makes no sense. I mean, we are negotiating here. Why would they? I mean, they also have invested time. They also want you. So I just couldn't think of the scenario that if I say something that they say no. I couldn't think of the scenario that that would mean everything just falls apart. Why would, I mean, we're negotiating. Okay, you say no. Okay, no. And in my experience, it never happens. You're negotiating and you say, okay, this is what I demand, and they say, okay, this is what's reasonable. If you say something that they feel that's not reasonable, it doesn't mean that the whole thing has to go south. That makes no sense to me. That means they lost a bunch of time they invested on recruiting you, and they need
But
to start from zero. And poof, it's just so expensive as well.
maybe they have a pool of candidates. That might be the case, but I don't think it's that at the level that you are. Maybe at entry level, that will be the case that you have a pool of candidates, and if you have a very, let's say, you have one guy at, let's say, 10 points, and you have this other guy at 9 points. You offer the guy at 10 points, and then he goes, "I need more cash. I want more this and this." Then you say, "Well, maybe I'll go for the one with 9 points." But at the level that you are, I'm pretty sure that you are like one tops two candidates for that job.
Exactly, completely. Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. This strategy is probably not worth it at an entry level.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you need to know where you're standing, as you stated, that
Yeah,
you know how much you're valuable, your value in the market, and as you stated, you have no reason to go.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think no, completely. And the other advantage that I had was that I realized how much time and effort they had spent on finding me, and that I I didn't know for sure, but I had a sense of how many people they were searching for because the industry is not that big. And so my own friends and people were contacted by them, and I realized how many were interested and how many weren't. So I realized that it's not as you said, the pool of people that would be able to do that at that stage, at that moment, where it wasn't that big. So yeah, I didn't have much to lose by being very aggressive.